Uh, um, I I just lost my tooth today, so if I'm talking a little weirdly, then you know what it is. So let's get to the video. Hey guys, it's Age for Main Football Talk, and today I'll be sharing 5 interesting facts about Disneyland. Because I did say that one of my favorite things is Disneyland, and I like looking up about it. So I want to show you 5 of my favorite favorite facts I have about Disneyland. So here we go. So the ride Alice in Wonderland, it's a cool dark ride. It's a pretty cool one. And then Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Now you have to walk all the way around to get from one side to another. But actually, remember how Alice in Wonderland goes up a story? That's because it's going above Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. So that fact to me was actually really, really cool. So yeah, I guess that's fact number 5. So fact 4 about the history of Splash Mountain. Now, out of all of the rides, it's probably my favorite history out of all of them. Because the story goes like this. Basically, Imagineer, which basically, if you don't know what Imagineer is, it's basically Disney's designers for rides. So they design a lot of the rides, and then they kind of make models and whatever. So one of the most famous Imagineers is Mark Davis, and another very famous one is Tony Baxter. And Splash Mountain has to do with Tony Baxter. So basically, there was 2 problems in Disneyland in the 80s. In one side of behind New Orleans Square, you can go into the wonderful Bear Country. It was a very cool land, but no one went there because it wasn't that cool. Like, it wasn't that good of a land. It only had one attraction, the Hungry Bear Jamboree, the County Bear, the Something Bear Jamboree. And if you've been to Disney World, then you've probably seen that show in Frontierland. But that was the only attraction there. It was a show, and people liked the one in Disney World better. And it just Bear Country wasn't good. On the other side, it was in Tomorrowland, where America Sings, a show which is now replaced by Star Tours, was being performed. And not many people saw that show either. It was a patriotic show. So, also at the time, the president of the Disneyland wanted a water ride, like a log flume type ride in Disneyland. So Tony Baxter was sitting through some traffic one day, whatever, and they thought of the idea of a very unknown movie called Song of the South. If you haven't watched it, I've heard of it before. That's probably because it's very underrated. Not underrated. That's actually kind of bad. But no one knows about it. So basically, he decided to make a ride out of it because he could also recycle all the animatronics from America Sings, and he can and they can also make a new use for Bear Country, while also making it a water ride, so it could be a log flume. So work started on the Zippity Doo Dah on the Zippity Doo Dah rafts or something like that. It was something called like that, and then they changed it to. And then they thought, well, there's Space Mountain and there's Big Thunder Mountain around. How about we make it called Splash Mountain? So yeah, Splash Mountain was created and it was opened with the new opening of the new land, Critter Country. So the it was a Country Bear Jamboree. The Country Bear Jamboree was replaced by the Winnie the Pooh ride, and yeah, that's the history of Splash Mountain. Number 3 is it's called Black Sunday, and surprisingly, it's the opening day of Disneyland. The reason why it was called Black Sunday is because actually it was not. Basically, the park was not a good opening. Basically, the concrete was. They just kind of put in the concrete or whatever, and so people. So since it was so hot, the concrete kind of melted, and people got their feet stuck in the concrete, and yeah, so there was another thing going on. Also, a lot of rides kept breaking down. The sun was really hot. It just wasn't a good day, and it was the opening day of Disneyland. Also, there was a lot of things that couldn't open in time. They set their date to be July 17th, 1955, and they had 5 years to make Disneyland, which isn't a lot of time, so they really rushed it. But there's number 3, Black Sunday. Next, we're gonna go into the very spooky Haunted Mansion. That's probably really cringy. I'll tell you a fact about the Haunted Mansion, and basically the exterior. It's a pretty small building, actually. It's a pretty small house if you look at it. But that's because the Haunted Mansion isn't actually in that one building. Basically, what you do is you go into the stretching room, and that'll be an elevator to get you down underground. Then you walk under the Disneyland Railroad to the other side of the park that no one sees, a giant warehouse where the real ride of the Haunted Mansion is placed. So, pretty cool fact. Number 1, the final one on our list. It's not the most interesting fact to me. I really don't know which one. Probably the history of Splash Mountain is my favorite, but number 1 is who are the first people to ride the Space Mountain. Basically, I'll give you a quick history. Walt Disney in Tomorrowland wanted to make a giant, since the Matterhorn was the first roller coaster in Disneyland was the Matterhorn. Walt Disney wanted to make a new attraction where people can ride through like the areas of space and whatever. So he wanted to call it Spaceport, and then Walt died, so that project went on hold. But usually Disney projects that aren't gonna be made are usually just kept onto because they usually find another use to it. And of course they did. In the Magic Kingdom, 1975, they opened Space Mountain. So then it was huge success. So in 2 years, Disneyland decided to build Space Mountain. So in 1977, Disneyland Space Mountain opened. And the first people to ride Space Mountain were actually the first people on the moon. NASA's Sing. Okay. Yeah, so first people to ride mountain were the first people on the moon, which was pretty cool. And of course, I mean the one in Disneyland. The first people to ride the one in Florida. Maybe it was NASA as well. But yeah. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we'll see you guys all next time. Goodbye. That was